Oh my God! Wait, DeAndre Jones just hands up in the air, eyes to the sky. Lord, what just happened? Am I part of an NFL offense right now? Panther people, what up? The Carolina Panthers embarrassed the Raiders on their home turf. Is this the season turning around? What's going on, New Panthers supposed Phil Perkins? Thanks for joining us. I got my jersey on because I'm actually feeling proud to be a Carolina Panthers fan. I hope you do as well. As the Panthers had their home opener completely ruined, the Carolina Panthers went to Vegas in that shiny new toilet bowl and embarrassed the home team, the Las Vegas Raiders, at home in their home opener in front of all their dang fans, just ruining their day. And it actually felt very amazing. It was therapeutic as a Carolina Panther fan to see your team go to someone else's house, the team that everybody thought, hey, you know what? They just beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They're coming at home. They're playing the worst team ever, apparently, in North American pro sports, maybe in world sports, with the most annoying owner of all time, the most dysfunctional franchise ever set foot in the National Football League. There is no way that this is going to be anywhere competitive for the Las Vegas Raiders. I saw on NFL.com someone predicted a 57-7 victory for the Raiders. Only one person on the NFL.com website thought the Panthers would win. It was going to be a close game. Heck, I thought the Panthers were going to lose this game in a close game, but in no way did anyone imagine the Panthers to lay the beat down, embarrass the Las Vegas Raiders at home. They started hot. They finished hot. They did not look back. They punched him in the mouth. 100-yard rushing plus from Chuba Hubbard. I think he had 100 yards rushing. He had 65 yards receiving, and he had a touchdown. Deontay Jackson had his most productive day ever in his career, 122 yards receiving and a touchdown in this. Andy Dalton, the only quarterback in the National Football League, the same National Football League that has C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson. He is the only quarterback thus far in week 3, still early, but the only quarterback in this league to pass for over 300 yards and have 3 touchdowns, 0 picks for the Red Rifle. We're not saying Red Rocket here. There's no dog park, okay? Whoa. Even I didn't expect this. I did no way think I was going to expect this. When Dave Canales told the press that he was going to be benching Bryce Young to give their team a better chance to win with Andy Dalton, you thought, he was talking coach speak. You thought David Tepper had his hand up his butt and just kind of moving his mouth and, doing some ventriloquism right there. I didn't think it was going to end up like that. Before we get into the details of this game, I want to give a big FU, a big, fat, inflated, Vegas-sized, sphere-sized FU to all the national media members and even the local media members who maybe not in the Carolinas, but maybe out there. I'm not in the Carolinas, but I listen. Everybody loves to hit you when you're down. They barely talked about the Panthers when they're 50-1 going to the Super Bowl with Cam Newton as the MVP. They never talked about them. But the second this Panthers were at the lowest of the low, hit rock bottom, dug a hole, and then fell into that, and then dug a hole, and then fell into that, everybody under the sun, if you were getting paid by a network or by anybody to talk about sports, you were taking a free shot at the Carolina Panthers. You were saying that they're the most dysfunctional franchise of all time. There was an absolute dumpster fire, crap hole. Nobody wants to play there. You couldn't pay Alex Smith millions and millions and millions of dollars, apparently, to get him out of retirement, out of Bristol, Connecticut, at ESPN, to get him to play in Charlotte on Main Street with the Carolina Panthers. I sat down at work today, turned on TV, ESPN was on simulcast, and it was 10 straight minutes of Rex Ryan. It was 10 straight minutes of Mike Greenberg, 10 straight minutes of mentioned Alex Smith, just tearing my team to shreds. I didn't like this team because of Bryce Young. I like this team because of the Deshaun Fosters, because of the Steve Smiths, because of the Julius Peppers, because of the Cam Newtons. This team has some history. Sure, they're not the Bears. They're not the Browns times 2. Remember, the Browns left Cleveland. They're not the Patriots. They're not the Giants. They're not the Chiefs. They're not the Cowboys. They're an expansion team. They're in their 30th year. I get it. They're an infant team compared to others. Maybe not the Houston Texans, but you can't criticize the Houston Texans. It's easy to take shots at this team, especially when they're down. But everyone took their turn to just punch the team and punch the fan base right in the nuts. This is a team that for a lot of people, they've been fans of them since the very beginning, 30 years ago. And you just taking cracks at this team, at these people, when they're very lowest, as if they weren't already embarrassed, was annoying. And it was petty. And it was infuriating. Because this started the second we announced that Bryce Young was going to be benched for Andy Dalton. By the way, apparently tomorrow is Ginger Appreciation Day, so I'm like kind of half ginger, so y'all better love me too. It's almost like, when you have this rich kid who's like the only child in the family, he doesn't get like his A+++ in his math class. and he just clearly wasn't prepared, and he got a D or he got a B plus, and his parents throw an absolute fit, and they try to sue the school, and they try to shut down funding and all that stuff. That's what it felt like from a lot of the media members. They were so perplexed, they were infuriated that their favorite son, Bryce Young, he is a nice guy, such a nice guy. He got benched for Andy Dalton, who hasn't started a game since week 3, literally, of last year, and they lost their absolute minds. If this team failed Bryce, this team did not have an offensive line. This team had no wide receivers. Coach Canales was a horrible hire. Rex Ryan would fire Dave Canales after 2 weeks. If that was the case, why is it that Andy Dalton had a clean pocket all day long? Why is it that Deontay Johnson had his career day at 122 yards receiving? Why is it that Chuba Hubbard had over 100 yards rushing, almost 100 yards receiving? Why is it that even Miles Sanders got touchdowns? Everybody ate in this crappy offense, apparently, that has no skilled players, that has no offensive line. Why was it that Robert Hunt was absolutely bullying people on screens and just blowing defenders' souls out of their bodies? Why was that happening? I thought that didn't happen on the worst football team of all time that's ever assembled on a team. I didn't know that could happen. Bryce was completely failed by this team. This team failed him. Dave Canales, he was the only coach I ever wanted to coach for the Carolina Panthers. Robert Hunt's a scrub. Deontay Johnson actually wasn't the best separator in the NFL last year. Xavier Legette is not an absolute beast. Absolutely not. There's no way. No. Andy Dalton made this team look like an NFL offense. He showed poise. He showed absolutely no scramblability in his brain. You could not rattle that guy. He was in the freaking zone. And you can see that the players were playing for Andy. He's a 36-year-old, younger than me still, but I don't know what he told the locker room, but this could be his last time ever starting for an NFL franchise. And he played it like it was his last football game ever. NFL stands for not for long. It looks like the team, as they said, in one of the reports on ESPN, that the team knew who the starter should have been back in spring. And it wasn't Bryce. And it was Andy Dalton. And you can see everybody was relieved that it happened. When Deontay Johnson caught his first touchdown of his career right now with the Carolina Panthers, he wasn't really celebrating. He was literally just looking at God and just saying, finally, someone has serviced me with an NFL caliber pass. It was beautiful. Josh Norris, who was a Carolina Panthers fan, said that Andy Dalton's passes today were like top 10 quarterback in the league type passes. They were elite. He was doing things that a shorter quarterback just, unfortunately, could not do. Number one, wasn't jumping for screen passes. Number two, was climbing up in the pocket and throwing over linebackers and DBs into the open wide receiver who was open 30 yards down the field in the window there. Things that Bryce, unfortunately, just literally could not see. That's why he wasn't climbing in the pocket, because the defenders are closer to his face, and then there's taking up his field of view. Andy Dalton was doing those things. And because Andy Dalton was doing those things, you couldn't stack the box, so allowed Chuba Hubbard to run wild. Allowed Miles Sanders to run wild. Raheem Blackshear to run wild. Did I mention that Miles Sanders had a touchdown? I think that might have been his first touchdown as a Carolina Panther. And so when you have to respect the run, that's when the play action and then the pass run, that's when it all starts meshing. And that's when you guys got Deontay Johnson, who is finding himself open every single time. Tommy Tremble, 8. David Legette finally got a catch and finally got some serious yards. He could have gotten his first point on a 2-point conversion, but he couldn't get his feet down. He'll figure that stuff out. Adam Thielen had a touchdown over the shoulder, massive, beautiful throw. That's a throw that Josh Norris was quote tweeting about. It was just an absolutely gorgeous shot, a dime. Like Dalton Dimes. His name is Andy Dimes. It's not Andy Dalton. It's Andy Dimes. All right? It's not the Red Rocket. It's not the Red Rifle. It's Andy Dimes, because that's exactly what he was throwing every single time he had a guy open in the end zone. Sure, Adam Thielen looked like he popped his hammy. Hopefully he's going to be okay. You actually have a starter, potentially a glorified bridge quarterback in Andy Dalton, and you have the opportunity to do what now everybody in the NFL suddenly wants to do because their favorite son Bryce Young got benched, the first overall pick. Sit him. Sure, Jordan Love wasn't the first overall pick in the draft. Patrick Mahomes wasn't the first overall pick in the draft. Sit them. Have him sit and learn from Andy Dalton. Have Andy Dalton look like, hey, it's not that big of a deal. Just climb the pocket. Trust your receivers. Let them make a play. Stop overthinking it, Bryce. Just do it. Just learn from me. I've been in the league for 13 years. I didn't think he was going to be fired on all cylinders like this. And if you're Bryce Young, you got to think like, dang, like tip your cap to quarterback roommate and Andy Dimes. Like, you beat me for this job. If this was a true open competition and they actually played preseason games, Andy Dalton may have outplayed Bryce and would have been the starter, and Bryce would have done what he probably should have done, which every rookie now apparently is supposed to be doing after the Bryce benching, is sit down, and you're not benched, you're just learning. You're just learning. That's the way it should be. Look at this picture of David Tepper, by the way, with Steph Curry. Steph Curry, notorious nice guy in the NBA. Clearly, Dave Tepper, an asshole. And now they're doing it, and now they're reaping the benefits, and now they're going back home on a hot streak, feeling nice, feeling good, taking on a Bengals team that might necessarily be a world beater. And all you need is confidence. All you need is belief. And if Andy Dalton's going to be playing with that reckless behavior like that, and Chuba Hubbard's going to still run like that for his contract, the offensive line, Robert Hunt's still going to be the same size next week. He's still going to be that big. He's still going to be that tall. Damian Lewis hopefully comes back from that elbow injury, and he's going to be okay. Charles Zavala, a little bit streaky there. Xavier Lee will get more chances. He's only going to get better with the more looks that he gets. Deontay Johnson's only going to get better. And then Dalton, hopefully. It looks like he has a very good grasp of the offense, but hey, Dave Canal says, why did he get hired? He rejuvenated the careers of Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and now maybe Andy Dalton. It seems like he made the call. And it seems like that call has been right because you could not evaluate this team of 51 other guys besides Bryce Young. You didn't know how good Deontay Johnson was. You didn't know how good Xavier Lee was, or you knew how good the offensive line was because Bryce wasn't getting hit. But everybody else, you didn't know how good they were because they had no opportunities to show off what they could do. And that's why it looked like there was relief out of these wide receivers' eyes, especially when they were catching touchdowns. And the defense balled out. Mike Jackson with a pick. This guy Jay Peavy, he's got a sack. Where's he coming from? Jadeveon Clowney, he got a sack. That's his first sack as a Carolina Panther. Because these defenders, they can play balls out. They can go with the adrenaline. They can put on the noxious gas because they're fired up. They have energy because the offense is having sustained drives from one end zone to the other. They can get their oxygen. They can get their Gatorade. They can stretch it out. And by the time they get back on the field, they can make the quarterback's life a miserable living hell. Unlike what Max Crosby did he couldn't get close. He could not get close to Andy Dalton. But the Panthers defense made Gardner Minshew's life a living hell. Andy, the Red Rifle Dimes, did that in this team that is not built for a quarterback, reportedly. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to go drink now.